Hello, everybody, and welcome back to my channel. Today, we have a special guest with us who will be sharing her experience about Alan Kota as well as a few tips for the juniors. Next question is related to physics specifically because that is a nightmare for the NEET aspirants.
Yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Was physics a nightmare for you also? And if yes, then how did you handle it?
Yes, definitely. Like the 95% of the NEET aspirants, even physics was a nightmare for me. I mean, I faced among the three subjects, physics was the one didn't like almost, and I used to run away from solving numericals in physics. So, how did I tackle the problem? To answer that, I feel like, as I said previously also, that for physics, more is more. So, the more you practice, the better you get at it. So the only way to excel
Yeah.
in physics to just practice as many numericals as you can. Just focus on building concepts and then just practice numericals. And I think that is the only way to master physics.
Even I've tried studying the theory again and again, but that doesn't work. Till the time we don't
Yeah,
practice numerical,
yeah,
nothing can happen.
true, true, true. Even for the NCRT, if you go and read the NCRT of physics, it's very lengthy and you're just going to get very bored in no time. So rather than just reading theory, it's better if you focus on your concepts and then practice numericals. एंड उसके
Yeah.
साथ साथ थोड़ी भी कवर होती जाती है साइमल्टेनियसली सो
Okay, so now let's talk about test series because test series is really important. The tests that we give, they actually boost our score and confidence. So, how many tests did you give and what was the frequency, especially during the last month?
so I'll start by answering the question throughout the year. So I was enrolled in Allen, right? So I was in Allen Kota. So there you have tests after every single month. Like after 4 weeks, you have a monthly test where the syllabus is, they ask the syllabus that is covered in the previous weeks. So and also with time, they also start adding up on the syllabus. Okay, so the syllabus keeps increasing. So yeah, I also just follow the test series. I used to take tests every month. And especially in the last month, I increased the number and I used to take around every 2 days I used to take
Okay.
one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So, what was your average score in those tests?
In the test series, so it depends on the question paper
No,
also,
like
the level.
last month's average in the last tests.
The average in the last test, my score used to range around 580 to 610, 620.
Okay.
That was my average score.
So, I
Because
get
it
a lot of
depends.
YouTube comments that the students get demotivated because of low test scores. So, what you used to do exactly after a test? Because it's a very important question.
Yeah, definitely, I agree. Especially what happens in Allen test series, as far as Allen was the only test series that I had joined, so I don't really have the idea about the level of questions from other coachings. But Allen, what they used to do was, especially in the major test series, the question level, the paper standard used to be set very, very high. And of course, due to that reason, also a lot of people, they didn't score as good as they used to score earlier. And I was
Mhm.
one of them. I faced a lot of, I was very demotivated because,
Okay.
seeing the drop in your score, because that phase, I feel like every aspirant has gone through and it's very, very demotivating.
Mm.
But what I would say is the only way to tackle it is to just not focus on the marks, honestly. Just keep going and what your goal should be is that you should do better than what you've done previously. So even I had a mistake notebook that was made. So whenever I used to,
Mhm.
have some questions that I used to continuously get wrong, so I used to just jot it down in my mistake notebook, and I used to keep revising that notebook over and over again, and then eventually you're going to see improvement for yourself.
During your 11th and 12th, did you join the dummy school or the regular one?
No, I was in the dummy school.
Dummy school.
Yeah.
Were there any disadvantages as such that you faced?
The
Uh,
disadvantage of dummy schooling, yes, there are, everything
hmm.
has pros and cons,
Yeah.
of course. So the disadvantages were that, especially during boards, you have to cover everything by yourself, okay? And usually dummy school students, what they do is they keep English, PED, physical education, IP. I had 6 subjects, so what I had done was physics, chemistry, bio, तो मैं शुरू से पढ़ती थी. But the other
Hmm.
3 subjects, I had left it for the last few months. And us point pe, especially after December to February, these 2 months were a nightmare for me because there was so much to cover by myself and I had to do it, by myself, and there was nobody that I could be dependent on. So, yeah, I think the disadvantage was that you should, I mean, it just piles up. Your work just piles up. And if you're in the normal school, then it gets distributed throughout the year. So you don't have to, worry and stress about it. But in a dummy school, you just have to make sure that, you are studying religiously and consistently throughout.
As a hosteler,
Yeah.
how was like different from studying at home? Like you must be facing a lot of challenges, right? Being in the
Yeah.
hostel. So could you please right?
Yeah. So a little backstory for the people who don't know. I was in Kota for a year and I was preparing for NEET 2024. I was in a hostel, yes, and that too I was in Kota. So, whenever we hear the name Kota, I mean the city Kota, it just comes with like a lot of, thoughts and pretty, the mindset that people have. Stressful place to be in, and there's like a lot of pressure among the students. And I feel like that is true. That is very much true. I'm not going to disagree. Staying alone in a hostel, of course, it's very different from staying at home because at home you have your parents, you can always talk to your parents and you can just release out the stress and the burden that you have. But when you're in a hostel, it's very difficult because you don't really have a lot of people around you that you know from a long time, right? Of course, you make friends in the hostel, but
Do you have
yeah.
friends in the hostel? Because if we have friends in the hostel, it becomes better for us.
Hmm. Talking about friends, I mean, I went to Kota with the mindset of not making a lot of friends, as like a lot of aspirants do, because, I feel like I have also mentioned this in my videos that if you have a lot of friends, you unknowingly waste a lot of time. I mean, it might not be intentional, but you just end up wasting time. That is what I had in mind, and that is what my
Right.
mindset was.
Hmm.
So, throughout my preparation, I didn't really make a lot of friends. But yes, I did have two very good friends whom I used to, just talk to, and they were also my batchmates. So we used to discuss about pretty much everything from like academic related stress to like questions
Hmm.
to like, problems that we face in our personal life. So I feel like when you're in a hostel, you should have this one person, at least one person in your life with whom you can just vent out and share everything that you have in mind, because otherwise it gets really, really stressful, and it is also really bad for your mental health. Because, if you
Hmm.
bottle up your emotions for a long time, I feel like it is not going to end well, because
Hmm.
in the long run, bottling up your emotions, it's just going to have a very, very bad impact on your mental health. And trust me when I say this, because I have been through this situation. um, and it is just not the best idea to not have anyone and completely isolate yourself. So yeah.
Also remember that every second is important in this era of NEET, where the competition is at its peak.
That make friends, but be very wise and choose
Hmm.
very wisely who you're making friend, who you're being friends with, because of course you're going to find good people, you're going to find bad people, but it's up to you, what you take from the other person. Everybody has something good to offer, in my opinion, and everybody has something bad to offer. So you should just be mindful about your choices and what you are grasping from the other person. And also in your preparation phase of like 1 year or 2 years, I feel like it's very important to not waste time and be very mindful of, who you're talking to and how long are you talking to that person or whatever. So yeah.
Okay, the next question, and rather we should discuss about it, that you belong to Delhi, right? Which is
Yeah.
a very big city and it is full of coaching institutes.
Yeah.
Then
Yeah.
why didn't you join Akash or any other coaching in Delhi, and why Kota?
So the answer to this is actually not very simple. Um, Talking about why didn't I join a coaching in my hometown and why did I decide to move to Kota instead? The reason being, I always used to think that up till class 10th, I mean, everyone is a topper in their school. I feel like up till class 10th, if you are preparing for, if you have decided to prepare for a competitive exam, I'm sure you must be really good at studies from the very beginning. I mean, of course, it's not necessary, but what I mean to say is that in your school, you don't really understand what sort of competition exists because you are around the same people. You're almost in a shell. So when you move out of your shell and if you move to a better place, I mean, better place as in Kota, as we all know, is very competitive, right? So why, I think the first reason why I decided to move to Kota was because I wanted to face the competition and I wanted to look and see for myself that what sort of people go there and how is the environment there and just everything about Kota. I wanted to experience that life for myself. So that is one reason why I chose Kota. And second, that I used to think that घर पे मेरी उतनी अच्छे से पढ़ाई नहीं होगी. I just had this thing in my head कि maybe I am not that efficient at home and if I isolate myself for say a year,
Especially in the drop year. In the drop year, you're already under a lot of
yeah,
stress.
yeah, exactly. So I just thought of going to Kota. I had to go to a place, so I just thought of I had to move out of my hometown. So I just thought ki Kota would be the best option for me.
So at that time, you must be around 17, 18 years old.
I am 18 right now, so I was 17. Yeah.
Mm. So it's a very big thing, according to me, for a 17-year-old person to all of a sudden leave the comfort zone. But at the end,
It's
it's worth it if you work hard. And people just look
definitely.
at marks and rank. We should also learn the values from that institute or from that city.
There's this one thing that I keep telling everyone, and I've also, I think, mentioned it in my video that no place can change you the way Kota does. And, it depends on you on how you take it actually. Kota can make you either a very self-sufficient and a better version of yourself. But at the same time, if you fall in the wrong company, it can also uh, just destroy you in a way, and you just might fall.
To some ways. I'm saying it can either make you or break you.
Yeah, exactly what I'm saying. It can either make you or break you. So it depends on
Mm.
you completely on how you, perceive things and on how you take everyone around and how your company and your choices.
Like in Kota specifically, we've seen people taking 2, 3, 4 drops. So by chance, if a person doesn't get selected in the drop year, even after putting his 100%, and then
Hmm.
his heart breaks and everything just shatters for him.
Hmm.
So what would you say to him or her?
When I was in Kota, trust me, there were students who had gone for like 4, 5, 6 drop years. And what I used to think was that, I used to think to myself that why are they taking so many drops? But then when I actually spoke to them, they just had this one answer that they are very, very passionate to become a doctor. And that is why, they are ready to sacrifice so much and take so many drops and have the strength and the courage to take drop because let's be real, it takes a lot of strength and courage to take a drop in the very first
And it's
place,
the
right?
same syllabus again.
Yeah,
These I
exactly. And same
hmm.
books, same this again. So it just takes a lot of courage. But I feel like if you are passionate enough, then you should go for it. But at the same time, I also think that if you just couldn't clear this one exam, it's not the end of the world. There are numerous other career options that you can explore and choose for yourself. So I don't think taking 5, 6 drops is justified. But again, if you are passionate, then go for it. But yeah, there are also a lot of other career options. And if you couldn't crack NEET, that is not the end of the world. Definitely.
Hmm. And specifically going into depression and all for this examination, this exam doesn't deserve.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely. Especially after everything that happened this year.
Hmm. NEET aspirants are actually traumatized this year. The trauma
Exactly.
that we are seeing. I think this
Exactly.
will make us old for the next 20 years of our life because at such an early age, suffered this.
Definitely. Even in Kota, back in Kota, there are so many cases of depression and suicides every
Hmm.
single day that it's very disturbing mentally also. Being there also as a student, it's very disturbing and it's very, even the parents are so concerned about their children because there it has almost become a very normal thing and it's very sad that, it's just gotten so normalized there. But I just want to say this one thing to everybody that suicides and going into depression and all of this, it is not at all worth it for an exam like NEET, especially after all of us have suffered so much this year, even when it was not our fault and it was the education system that has failed us. So
So let's discuss about the next thing related to the education system. How can India improve the medical education and the management, basically, conduction of the
Uh,
examination?
yeah, so in my opinion, what I feel like is that the very first thing is that the government should focus on increasing the number of seats in government medical colleges. Definitely
Yes.
because because the ratio is very, very negligible. It's like 25 lakhs is to some what 70,000, 80,000 medical seats, that too including private medical seats, right? So,
Yeah.
and
And
not every
the
yeah, and not everybody can afford to, pay over a crore for getting into private colleges. And government colleges in India, they have very, very limited seats. So I feel like the first thing is definitely to
And
increase.
one more subtle aspect that we don't focus on is most of them are in tier 2, tier 3 cities, wherein we don't want to go sometimes. So as we know that there are nearly about 23,000 seats for general category and
Yeah,
23
yeah,
lakh parents, which means 1% is the selection rate.
yeah,
1%. So I don't know any examination in India which has 1% selection rate. That too of this age group. I mean, like UPSC is 23 to 26. That's the general age group, right? So they are mature enough. They've led the life. They've lived that. They've faced so many things. But we
mm,
were in the nutshell up until now in the school, and all of a sudden this. We don't have any experience,
exactly.
so there should be something. Maybe difficulty levels should be increased because we're not able to segregate the aspirants based on the intellectual capacity, hard work, and all.
Yeah,
Like
same
if
thought. Yeah, I feel like NEET before, 2017, the difficulty level was amazing. And that is why the cutoff was also not that skyrocketing, right? So, in these last few years, recently, the level has gotten, I don't know, I think the students have also gotten smart, is number one. The resources are available pretty easily. There's everything that's available on YouTube.
reduction in syllabus should not be ignored. Syllabus has been reduced.
Exactly, exactly. The syllabus has been reduced, and availability to resources has also been very much, much, much easier as compared to
But
what it was previous times. So I feel like keeping all of that in mind, the difficulty level should also be increased. Definitely. Otherwise, if this keeps going, then the cutoff is just gonna
and
skyrocket.
sometimes I feel that NEET should happen either in two levels or two times a year, so that it's
Yeah,
not like they will decide the entire year because
yeah,
anything can
exactly,
happen. And
exactly.
every examination, like JE examination has two attempts and then advanced. Something should be done in NEET. A reform should be brought so that students are not relying on one day because luck factor comes into picture. So if there are two or three attempts for a particular person, we can easily segregate the toppers who are performing
Exactly.
consistently.
Way the mental pressure on students will also reduce, right?
Hmm.
Because imagine what a 16-year-old or a 17-year-old child goes through at such a young age, and there's just so much pressure, and everything is dependent on those 3 hours, 20 minutes. If the luck factor is not there on that particular day, then your hard work might just go in vain, and you can't do anything about it.
That has
The
happened with toppers as well. I've seen. It's not like we are beating about the bush. It's actually a true fact.
exactly, exactly. So those 3 hours, 20 minutes plays a very crucial role. And I feel like this should be changed and, NEET should be conducted at least twice a year.
Hmm.
Now that we've answered a few questions, I just had this one question and I also very recently got a comment about it. So I thought of quickly addressing my point of view and also take Amirash's point of view on this. So the question was that why do so many people suddenly want to become a doctor in India? So what do you think?
First, let's address a few facts over here in front of us that back in 2015, when paper was leaked, there were around 6.8 lakh aspirants who gave the NEET exam. So it was
Yeah,
easy to conduct examination again, and it's 2024 right now and directly 23 lakh, which is a massive jump and a little unimaginable for a common man to think about these things. But I feel that somewhere or the other, it is the hype created in the society because a lot of people, maybe the parents are not aware. People need to be aware of the career options. They
yeah,
try to do medicine, engineering, law, UPSC,
These
other
are
things. Every stream.
corrections that people choose these like
Hmm.
UPSC and the things that the three, four career options that you mentioned. These are the mainstream career options that have been there in the society since a very long time, right? So I feel
Hmm.
like people want to stick to these and they just don't want to explore. So I think
Hmm.
my opinion is the same on this.
And one more point to add is that most of the people who want to become doctors are maybe the first doctors of their family, so they're not aware about
Yeah,
everything.
yeah, first generation doctors.
So most of the people, like I have heard, they think that once you become a doctor, you start earning in crores, but that doesn't
Yeah,
happen. Like I've
that is
heard personally,
that is a very common
एक बार
misconception.
doctor बन जाओ and you will just keep on earning, but it takes a lot of time. So some
Yeah.
people enter the field for money. That is true.
Why do you want to become a doctor?
Because I think it matches with my personality. Like I personally feel I would be able to give my 100% to this field, and I would work in the best possible way to help the
Hmm.
society. This is what people say, but it's like an inner feeling that one has.
Hmm.
That maybe I'm
I,
made for it.
I
Hmm.
feel like same for me in my case also. I think the major driving force for me to become a doctor was that this profession allows you to practice kindness on like an everyday basis, and I just ever since I was like a child, I just had this one thing that how amazing it would be that you are bringing a change into somebody's life, be it a small change or whatever, but you're just contributing to the society as an individual. And I feel
Hmm.
like it's really nice.
And because of this thing, people are ready to take so many drops. Okay. Let's move to the last question of this session, and it's a very interesting one.
Yeah.
So this last question is about the psychological and emotional aspect of a NEET aspirant.
Mm-hmm.
So other than studies, what should we take care of in order to bring out maximum focus and concentration? What do you think? Something apart from studies, maybe yoga, exercise, and all.
Feel like every student has their own, passion or something that they like doing. And, I've heard from a lot of students that, especially in their preparation days, like 2 years, they just,
Mm.
neglect everything else and they just focus on studies. I feel like
Yeah,
that is somewhat true, but I don't think there's any harm in taking out half an hour a day for something that you genuinely love. For
and that
example,
build those 4 hours extra
exactly.
product.
Exactly,
Mm.
exactly. That is going to help you with the other hours, and you can be even more productive while studying, because if your heart is happy, if your brain is happy, if your soul is happy, that is automatically going to increase your productivity and you're just going to be 10x more productive. So, be it whatever, if you like dancing, then I would say dance for at least take out 30 minutes of your time from your day and do whatever you like. You can either go for dancing, swimming, gymming, yoga. Yoga is an excellent way to reduce stress and pressure. So, yeah, whatever you like, just take out time from your day and focus on
You had
things
a
that
point. I actually had a point.
yeah, please go on.
So I was saying that while studying, we are mostly sitting. So our sitting hours are usually very high, especially in the last month. So
Hmm.
the human body suffers with blood circulation problems sometimes, so headaches and all are frequent. That is why I would
Yeah,
recommend you to go for a walk every day, at least for 30 minutes. So that,
definitely.
because walking is the natural tendency of human beings to get normalized.
Yeah, and there
And your
should be some physical
uh,
activity involved a day, every
physical
single,
activity, that too daily.
yeah, every
Because
single,
people neglect it so much and then they fall ill and then 2 days get wasted. So it's better you do that every day instead of wasting
exactly,
your 2. Hmm.
exactly, definitely. You know
So,
what? This is
go
a
ahead.
part, I'll tell you. I was actually using Nokia for the last 2 months of my preparation. So
Hmm.
I cut down screen time completely. I feel like that was a boost for my preparation, of course, but at the same time, my
Now
mental
you
health,
get better.
yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
my mental health was terrible in those 2 months because, I had cut off everybody from my life and I was not talking to anybody. It was just me
Hmm.
and my book. And after a point, it just got so toxic for me, and it was just very bad. I feel like that is very unhealthy, something
Yeah.
like that.
So let's come to the conclusion. Any last message that you want to give to the juniors and the droppers?
Hmm. Yeah, so I feel like the only message that I want to give all of you, be it if you're taking a drop or if you're a fresher, whatever, I just want to tell you that, NEET is a very important exam. Definitely, you might think, being in this stage that you are in, you might think that it is the most important thing in your life. But, you should be mentally prepared for the best and for the worst. I mean, even if you can't clear it by due to any reasons, then just don't be disheartened and just don't think that it is the last thing on earth. Trust me, there are 100 different better things that you can do if even if you couldn't clear NEET. And even if you do clear NEET, then congratulations. And yeah, just the goal is that please be prepared, please be in the mindset of the best and for the worst. Like just assume the best and the worst case scenario and be mentally prepared for it.
Yeah, I think you should prepare for the worst and hope for the best.
Exactly.
That is what I'm saying.
First for the best. Yeah.
So if we have zero expectations, even if a small good change happens, it brings enough of happiness into our lives.
Agreed. 100%.
Thank you everybody for watching this session, and I hope that you liked it. Do not forget to subscribe mine and Shreya's channel because we'll be coming up with many more exciting contents related to NEET. So
Thank you
bye
so
bye.
much.
Thank you, Shreya, for entertaining and inspiring us.
Hamid, having me here.